Good afternoon, Coach. You ready to get started with questions?
Yeah. Yes, I'm good, Kaylee. Go ahead.
Great. First question will be from Matt.
Hey, Sean, how are you today?
Good, Matt. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Hey, real quick, just any injury updates? Anybody banged up or anything new?
Just Ryan Bates. He's day-to-day with an ankle.
Okay, cool. As far as, I know this is a term that you have said and a lot of other coaches say, the 24-hour rule, and how you enjoy a win for 24 hours and then you turn the page. You said it even in the press conference yesterday. Miami puts up 70 points. Does the 24 hours go by a little quicker when you know what's coming up, or does the 24-hour rule not exist because you just start work immediately?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like anymore it gets shorter and shorter, or smaller and smaller, that window, right? And in particular, when you got a team that put up 70-plus points, I don't think I've seen that in my NFL career the entire time. So they're very explosive.
When you look at the performances that your defense has had the last couple of weeks and how they've kind of continued to trend in the right direction, I guess, what do you attribute that to? Is there one particular thing that's leading to this continued success with the pressures, the sacks, the takeaways, or is it just kind of a culmination of a lot of things?
Well, I think it's the preparation the players put themselves through. The coaches have done a phenomenal job of getting them prepared during the week. And I think that's really the culmination of those two coming together, really.
Cool. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Just a couple of lineup questions quick. What was the thinking behind Kingsley being up yesterday, and then also Puna being the one of the 5 defensive tackles that was down?
Yeah, I just always want to put what we feel like is the best for that weekend's game out there. And we have confidence in Puna and confidence in Kingsley. And, obviously with it's going to be different week to week, but with Flo's injury coming off of a couple of days of missing practice, we just wanted to make sure we were protected there. And
then the second question is, last 2 weeks, end of game scenarios where you've had Josh and Stephon, a lot of the other number 1 guys out. James Cook was still in getting carries. What was kind of the hope from those 2 situations of having your number 1 back on the field when the other number 1s were on the bench?
Yeah, I mean, he's still a young player. He's only just in the start of his second season, right? So the more reps he gets, the more experience he gets, and he'll learn some things. Obviously, don't want to expose him any more than we have to your point. But just he's still young in his young NFL career at this point.
All right, thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Good. How about you?
Good, thanks. I know you touched on it yesterday. I was just wondering if you could kind of elaborate more on what you saw from Josh and his ability to go down and take slides when he needed to.
Right. I mean, I think, again, you talk about a style of play and him adjusting his game or pieces of his game to a more sustainable style of play. And so I think that's healthy for him and healthy for our team.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, I want to go back to the Dolphins here for just a second. Obviously, you look at that number, 70 points, but especially being a division opponent, you're more familiar with them or as familiar with them as pretty much anybody. What is it about them? What is the same? What's different this year that's enabled them to have that success? And how does that impact, generally speaking? I'm not asking you to get into X's and O's, but your philosophy in preparing to defend them this week.
Right. They have unreal team speed on the offensive side. That's really where my focus has been the last hour or two. And it seems like they added to it this offseason, right? So very good skill. Tua is throwing the ball extremely well. And their schematics are almost revolutionary in what they do. I mean, it's Coach McDaniel's very creative and does a lot of things to get you out of position on defense.
As you prepare, and you're probably figuring this out to an extent, but should you be more aggressive, or is it a keep everyone in front of you type approach? Again, generally speaking, on that against a team like this.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's figured that out yet, clearly. So I'm just getting into it, but yeah, we'll have to see. I'm I don't even know where to begin yet. So, but I appreciate the question.
All right, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah, hey Sean. A lot has been said about Miami's passing game. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua with his accuracy, but the running game has really come alive for them, particularly against Denver. 200 yards for one back, 100 for the other, I believe. What have you? I know that you still have to dive in, but what have you seen from the running game that's allowed that element of their offense to really come to life this season?
Well, it was a factor last year as well. And usually you can look at an offense and say, hey, well, we're going to take this away, and that's their strength. In this case, you know, they beat you. If you try to stop the pass, they'll beat you in the run. I mean, they're very explosive all over the place. Any guy that touches the ball has a chance to take it to the house. So, you know, again, we're just starting the early phases of the game plan here. So we just need more time to look at it and decide how we're going to allocate our resources, basically.
Maybe just in the grand scheme of things, maybe not individual to the Dolphins. Can you speak on the challenges of defending an offense that likes to attack laterally as opposed to vertically with that speed, as Miami likes to do, running across the field as opposed to down the field? Are there distinct challenges that come with defending an offense that likes to attack that way?
Well, they do both. They definitely attack horizontally, but they also attack vertically with the speed element, and they do a great job. Like I said before, it's revolutionary, the scheme that they use, and it seems like they've added some things since last season at this point, and they're obviously giving people a lot of problems right now.
And just one more, if I could, can you speak on Christian Benford's progression? I think he played every single defensive snap yesterday, and just to speak on how far he's come in your defense.
Yeah, real proud of him. He continues to grow every day, every week, and these are, you know, good. These are good reps for him, and like similar to James yesterday, he was in the game late due to numbers, but also due to the fact that he's a young player just in the beginning stages of his second season here.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Coach Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. It is Victory Monday, man. How you doing?
Good, Mookie. You want to ask me about the fans? Nobody wants to ask about our fans yesterday, man. Huh?
I know I didn't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about Miami right now. We know that's on the slab, but let's talk about, you know, Bills Mafia, and most importantly, you putting on a defensive clinic yesterday. We talking 230 total yards, 9 sacks. Your defense created 5 turnovers, and they was 1 for 9 on third down. I know you was very ecstatic about that. But what I did see, I didn't attend the game, Coach, but I watched you on TV. You got a different look in your eye when calling plays. You know, so you know how did going back to calling plays reinvent your hunger at DC?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, you know, I'm knocking some rust off, but I feel like I got a good staff around me, and the players have been they've been very open and willing to do whatever we've asked, and I appreciate that. They've done a great job, and they played extremely hard yesterday, and I think they enjoyed the fans too. It was a little bit like a home game for us there, and nobody travels like the Bills Mafia, so we really appreciate everyone showing up out there and showing out yesterday.
Oh man, you can hear it on the TV screen, just the roars, and I'm like, well, damn, are we at Highmark Stadium right now? But I mean, the fans were just electric out there in DC, Coach, and you mimicked that. But you know, great coaching moments for you out there too. A lot of things nobody's not talking about in that 3rd and 17 situation where they got the penalty and you marched them back. Just care to talk about the hitting yard factor in that scenario?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly obviously a decision you have to make there, field position or take, you know, a 4th down situation. We just felt confident that we were rushing well all game long, and why would this be any different? Wanted to try and create some field position for our football team.
Absolutely, Coach. One more, if I can. After watching tape of this defensive clinic and the way the offense portrayed great balance, how did this team get better for next week?
Well, there's a lot of things we can do to get better. You know, I won't get into the weeds on it right now, but we met this morning, talked about it, and I think that's the biggest thing right now is how are we getting better? How are we improving each and every one of us from yesterday's performance?
Absolutely, Coach. Back to the drawing board.
That's right. Thanks, Mookie.
Hey, Sean. To start, are there any questions we've missed about the fans that you wanted to talk about, or
You guys don't talk about them enough. That's what I'm just saying. We're all talking about, this team, that team, and certainly respect that. But you guys need to celebrate the fans more. I mean, that was incredible. I think it was louder when we were on defense than it was when they were on defense.
I saw Jordan Phillips pumping them up a bit, so notable for sure. I am also going to ask about the Dolphins, sorry, but when you're preparing your defense for them, obviously you mentioned how they're revolutionary, they're doing so many different things. What differences are there preparing younger guys like Christian or Terrell who just have less snaps under their belt versus preparing some of these veteran guys who have seen more things, even if they haven't seen exactly this? Like, what is it kind of like from a week-long standpoint of getting guys with different levels of experience ready?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit different because there's just not as much carryover, maybe, or comfortability. Maybe that's a word also I would use from a year ago because they may not have had the reps built up from last year's game. So it's certainly a different offense, and again, coach does a great job there of using the team speed and his creativity to maximize the output of the offense.
How much do you see when like you can't necessarily replicate experience? What are guys able to soak in from just like hearing stuff from veteran guys on the team as they get ready for an opponent like this, even if again like they haven't actually played quite as much?
Well, I think that's part of the post-meeting conversations that take place, or some of the veteran wisdom that they impart, veterans and their wisdom that they impart on the younger players, and and sometimes what goes on in the locker room, some of the conversations in the locker room as well. So all that's important and all that can help.
Sweet, thanks.
Sure.
Sean, I just want to stress that I am in fact a strict adherent to the 24-hour rule. The game ended at 3:56 p.m. yesterday, so I'd like to ask you about the Dolphins.
Appreciate that.
You're well. Hey, all respect. So when you talk about window dressing, and I know that a lot of your players probably even see this at the high school level, but what are the things that you need to stress regarding the Dolphins offense and all the things that they do to get your eyes moving in the wrong direction or to get you on your heels when they're running some, I'm not saying basic plays, but when the ball snapped, there are some very simple concepts that are happening in the Dolphins offense, but they're adding so much extra to it. How do you get them focused or stress that this week?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of things we have to stress. We'll start with fundamentals. We need to get better with some of our fundamentals. I think that's got to be a point of emphasis. But really, after that, Tim, it's I'm just getting into it in the last hour here, so it's for me to go any deeper at this point would be premature. So.
Understood. And then I just wanted to ask from maybe this is not even a consideration, but 70 is such a big round number, and it's rare in NFL history. Is there a sports psychology aspect to having guys not get too hung up on the fact that these guys just scored 70 against an NFL football team?
I don't know. I mean, I'm a football coach, man. That's way above me. So we're just here trying to figure out a way to play good defense. We're just 1 hour into it, like I said. So.
All right. Thanks, Sean.
All right, buddy.
Hey, Sean, AJ Feldman here in Rochester. Terrell Bernard, he's a guy who didn't play a lot last year, was in a position battle in training camp. And these first 3 weeks has really kind of stood out. Is there any part of his game, his performance that has surprised you? Or is this kind of maybe in the realm of expectations for what you had coming into the season?
No, I don't think anybody's surprised really. We knew that TB was a good football player, and he's gotten off to a good start. I think that's I know you guys like to make big deals of things, especially early in the season, but we're just going into week 4 and he's off to a good start. And I think that's the key, is he continues to play and grow and learn all the while, and that his play improves each and every week as he embraces that growth mindset.
a lot of his teammates talked about how he doesn't really act like a second-year player. Where have you kind of seen that maturity, kind of that, feels like a veteran so far in his career?
Yeah, I mean, he's a student of the game. He was last year as well. He came to us that way. And, I just think that he just got, like I said yesterday, he's got a maturity about himself, the way he carries himself, not only on the field, but off the field. And football is important to him. His job's important to him. And I respect that.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Sure.
Hey, Sean. I know you mentioned you feel like you're kicking the rust off and getting your feet underneath you as a defensive play caller and all that. I'm curious if a matchup like this one, just the competitor in you, like, did you miss these weeks as a defensive play caller where you're up against that? You use the word revolutionary to describe Mike McDaniel and what he's doing. As a competitor, did you miss these types of weeks as a play caller?
I think in some ways, yes, in other ways, no.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this is when you compete, this is part of, I think any coach would say, certainly players would say, why we do what we do. You look forward to the challenge. It is a huge challenge. Like I said before, I've never heard since my time here in the league, I don't think it's occurred where a team has put 70 or more on a team. And yeah, I mean, we've got our work cut out for us this week, and it'll be a big challenge. And it's important that we're all in this together, and we have great communication throughout the week and collaboration here.
And what has allowed Leonard Floyd to jump in and just hit the ground running with you guys? I mean, both on and off the field seems like a natural fit.
Yeah, he's been a good addition to our team. A guy that likes to play, like TB, likes to play football. I think just adding him was a good pickup, as you said, by Brandon in our scouting department. And he's athletic and he's very serious about his craft, and you see that as you watch him. He doesn't say much, but in his day-to-day interactions with his teammates and his approach in meetings.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
That's all the questions for today. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, Ken. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. We will go ahead and get started with questions, and Jay will have the first question.
Hi, Ken. It's Jay with the Buffalo News. If you could just, can you give me your assessment of your offensive line play yesterday? Josh wasn't sacked, and I think hit maybe just one time in the game.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job. I mean, that's a extremely talented defensive front that we played, and I thought those guys up front did a great job. And I think when you have a game like that, a lot of credit to offensive line, but I think there was obviously Josh making decisive decisions, receivers getting open, quickly and on time. When we did chip and do some different things, I thought guys were effective doing that. So I thought it was all in all a great group effort by the whole offense, but I thought the offensive line really stepped up to the challenge there, because there were a lot of one-on-one blocks that they had to win as well. So great job by those guys, and they continued to get better and better each week as they gel together.
On the flip side, maybe something that didn't go quite as well. First downs in the first half. I know you had a big touchdown to Gabe, but outside of that, there were a lot of times where you were either minimal gains, sometimes loss of yardage, no gains. You put yourself in a lot of second and longs, which then can, sometimes lead to third and longs. When you go back and look at your first down performance, particularly in the first half yesterday, was there anything that you can kind of point to as to maybe what went wrong? And in general, is that an area that you feel like first down efficiency needs to improve?
Yeah, I thought, that's something that we definitely kind of go back and look at and make sure we're putting ourselves in the right positions to, stay in situations that are advantageous for us and keep a defense off balance because keeps us as a two-dimensional offense and they can't pin their ears back. So obviously that first down production and second down production is important to, like to your point, either skip for third down or stay into third and more manageable situations. So I think the big thing when you look back at it is just everybody kind of making sure we're calm and in the moment early in the game. There was a couple where I think guys were amped up and we just kind of missed some things. So just overall execution and making sure that everybody is just one assignment sound and two technique sound and just that way we can go out and operate to the level that we're capable of operating at. And then making sure, we're putting those guys in the position by mixing up the calls, varying up runs, passes, actions, dropbacks, and continue in that type of way to keep a defense off balance so we're not one-dimensional in the type of pass we're throwing or the type of run we're running.
Okay. Thanks, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Dorsey, Mookie Hawkins, World Sports 1080. Great win yesterday, Coach.
Thank you.
Now, hey, in the past couple of games, there's been some great balance. Yesterday, 218 in the air, 168 on the ground, and very efficient on third down. Could I talk about that good mix of good balance and being efficient on third down yesterday?
Yeah, I think, we're in a situation where, when you're in a game like that and playing a front like that, obviously the balance keeps them off balance and being able to run the ball. And we just got to make sure we're doing that effectively and whether we're running it or throwing it, we got to make sure, we're doing it effectively to stay out of those third and longer type situations. And I thought when we settled down, we did a great job of that. I thought early in the game, our third down execution really helped us a lot to generate, us being able to move the ball and create some points for us. Because we weren't as effective on first, second down in those scenarios. So, I think that balance has been good for us and we'll continue to strive for that. And obviously when you're up late in the game, you're going to have that ability to run the ball and you take a lot of pride in that to be able to run the game out in a late game type scenario.
Absolutely, Coach. And, he had some great balance. He was very efficient on third down. One of the reasons being you're able to find Stephon Diggs a lot in those big play situations. Care to talk about, just being more creative and getting the ball in his hands on those efficient third downs?
Well, I think, when you go through the week, you try to put guys in position and move guys around so they're not always in the same spots doing the same thing. So I think when we're at our best, we're calling the play that we feel like is the right play in that scenario and not trying to force a ball to a certain guy and trusting the read, trust the progression to work through it and the ball will find the open guy. So I think that's the big thing for us is do the work during the week. And then that frees us up on game day to just go out, call it, trust that the progression and where that takes us is going to take us to the open guy. And in that case, yesterday, a lot it was Steph in those scenarios, and a couple of weeks ago it was Gabe a little bit more. And so I think each week can be a little bit different based off of, where the ball takes you a little bit.
Absolutely, Coach. And one more, if I may. You're playing Miami this week. Last time you played those guys, you put together a beautiful 6-minute drive to close that game out. I know it's still early in the season, but what have you saw differently in the past couple of weeks out of this Miami defense that's different from the last time you played them in the playoffs?
I think right now they're playing sound football. I think they're obviously got a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball, up front and secondary wise, and in that whole unit. So I think right now they're playing extremely sound football. They're forcing offensive staff to execute at a high level based off of what they're doing. They're creating problems for the quarterback with some of their disguise and the different things they do there. So it's a tough group that just really forces you to have to be on top of things to execute in both the run and pass game. Because they're physical, they play fast, and they play sound in terms of what they're doing.
Thank you for your time, Coach. Good luck this week.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Ken, Ryan O'Halloran from the Buffalo News. A little bit of follow-up off that question. Your first time facing Vic Fangio. His teams are hiring from his tree around the league. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's the big thing is because it's definitely a sound scheme. It's when guys have been using it, I think it creates problems for an offense in terms of just you have to be at a high level of execution and when you're facing it because of the different things that they do and I think it's a defense that just forces you to have to go out and be on top of your progressions, on top of your assignments in the run game, and it's something that you just got to continually fight that battle of not getting complacent. Got to be disciplined in how you play and how you execute. So I think it's a tough defense to face. You got to really make a concerted effort to play smart, not conservative, and when there's shots downfield, you've got to be able to execute those. And then when they're not, you got to be able to work your progression and find guys in space.
And then last one for me, Josh was under center a lot in the Las Vegas game and then some yesterday. How much does that open up your playbook, both run game and bootleg play action when he is under center, and how's he been doing in that?
I think he's been really effective in it. I think it adds a great dimension to our offense to be able to mix things up there and change the launch point for Josh and give the defense different looks. So I think that's something that we continue to expand and continue to grow with, and it's something that our guys have been able to execute extremely well. Whether it's receivers, receivers creating opportunities for Josh, whether it's Josh's decision or whether it's those guys up front and their execution in terms of whether it's pass protection or run blocking.
Thanks, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ken. Yeah, I had about a similar question to Ryan's. You hit a couple big play action pass plays. Just kind of what you did that last year too, obviously. Just kind of what do you think that ties in a little bit to your use of more varied personnel and bigger personnel, and how important is that to incorporate the play action game into the offense?
Well, I think one of the big things too is when you talk about the personnel, it allows you to be multiple in terms of what you're doing with that personnel, whether it's condensed or spread out, using those guys in some of those play actions or releasing them on some play actions. So it allows you to kind of give defenses different looks, from an under center standpoint, and then all of a sudden get in the gun and do some different things with that same personnel grouping. So it allows you to be multiple and change the picture for the defense. And then at the same time, it's something I think that Josh is effective at, and Josh has done well throughout his career, and with the action game and those different things there. So it's something that I think is good for us in terms of our level of being able to execute it at a high level, and then as well as changing the picture for the defense.
Thanks, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ken. I was just wondering, as you've gotten to know Deontay Hardy more and more, what stands out to you about his personality?
I think he's just a guy who is willing to do a lot to help our team win. And I think that's what's great about him. He's an explosive player. He's got a lot of juice to him and can really get downfield and at the same time be effective and move into the slot and do some things where you saw him make some plays yesterday as well. So I think from a skill set level, got a lot of different layers to his game. From a personality level, I just feel like he's never really fazed by anything. He's kind of a very calm, cerebral type guy, and really kind of, no matter what the situation, never feel like he's ever fazed by anything. He just goes out and plays fast and operates at a high level.
What do you think leads to that calmness when you talk about just, you guys put him in a lot of different positions? What enables him to still kind of take it all in stride?
Yeah, I think it's just his personality. I think that's just kind of who he is, and the type of person he is, and whether it's just out practice when things get competitive, whether it's game day, whether it's in meetings or walkthroughs or whatever, he's always extremely focused, but got a little bit of humor to him at times, and we'll mix that in. So he's been great, great for us, great addition to that room, from one, just what he can bring to us, to the unselfishness, and three, just that calm that he brings to the field of, nothing really facing him.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Ken, AJ Feldman here in Rochester. A week after a lot of different players got involved in the passing game on offense, outside of the touchdown to Gabe Davis, it was really just Steph producing in the passing game. Was there anything that Washington was doing you thought to kind of dictate that? And what do you need to do to kind of get more guys, more prominently involved on offense?
Yeah, I think, one thing is, when you look at it, I think multiple guys had multiple catches, and we were able to get a lot of different guys involved that way. I think Steph obviously had a lot of targets, and again, that just kind of stems from, just going out and Josh, working his progressions and making the reads, and the ball was finding Steph this past game, and like I said, I think when you look at the Raiders game, the ball found Gabe a little bit more in that game. And so I think that's just the way, when you're calling it, when you're kind of rolling with things, the quarterback's just working his progressions, and the ball finds the open guys. And at the end of the day, it's something where, it's a long season, and guys will step up in certain scenarios. And I think we've got a lot of faith in a lot of our guys, and they'll continue to make plays when the opportunity rises. When you look, I think when we're at our best, when you look at the sheet, when you have 6, 7, 8, 9 guys with multiple catches, I think that's a good thing for us. And so I think that'll continue to grow and expand, and guys will continue to be put in different spots and have different opportunities to make plays, to make sure that it's not the same guy in the same spot every single time.
And then we talked to Sean about gearing up for a matchup like the Dolphins as a defensive play caller, coming off the performance like they just had. As on the offensive side of the ball, do you kind of get excited for a matchup where you feel like you might have to match them point for point, coming off just a big performance like they had last week?
I think at the end of the day, it's our focus is on this week. It's all about, hey, this is the next team we're facing, and that's kind of our focus. We don't want to really kind of look back or look ahead. We want to focus on the now, be in the now, and I think obviously it's a division game against a really good team, and their defense poses a lot of issues, so we got to be on top of our game to go out and execute. And for offensive football wise, I think it's as simple as that. I think each week there's challenges you got to face, and this week is no different. This is an extremely talented defense that we've got to be on top of our game against.
All right, thanks for your time, Ken. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the questions for today. Thanks, Ken.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, Coach Washington. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Good afternoon.
Great. We will go ahead and get started with questions. John, you can go ahead. Looks like we're having audio issues, so we'll go to Mookie.
Coach Washington, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. How you doing today, sir?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic, man. Hey, let's talk about it. 9 sacks, 5 turnovers as a defensive unit. I mean, how excited were you? Especially for the way that your guys played up front. I know Von Miller talked about this team has to be very disciplined mentally and spiritually. It looked like they went out there and played that way. Your thoughts, Coach?
Very excited to win, first of all, and I thought the defensive line played outstanding. They attacked the line of scrimmage and just created and generated a lot of pressure. Obviously, our secondary forced the quarterback to hesitate a little bit in terms of holding on to the ball. And anytime you can take the ball away and give it back to a Josh Allen-led offense, that's only going to help you. So just overall, very pleased. It wasn't perfect. There's some things that we're looking at that we want to continue to grow, areas we want to continue to grow, but just overall, really excited to win.
Absolutely, Coach. You said it before the season started that you had high expectations on AJ Espinosa and Greg Rousseau. Just care to talk about, those two guys' performance?
Sure. AJ did a great job. Obviously, he had the big splash play, the interception, and that was a function of his execution. And he was where he needed to be and understood that once the quarterback broke the pocket, he needed to remain disciplined. And AJ is just a tough out in terms of trying to loft the ball over him. We saw that last week in the Raiders game. I mean, it's tough to throw over a guy that's 6'6", and he did a great job timing his jump, corralling the football, and then just finding the end zone. Otherwise, he did a great job setting the edge, was able to execute a nice counter rush move to get the sack late in the fourth quarter. And then Greg just continues to come off the ball, collapse the pocket as an inside rusher and an outside rusher, getting his hands up. Doing a good job of establishing the edge of our defense, also just being active and just being, helping our four-man rush.
One more, Coach. How does this defense continue to work on being consistent and with having that aggressive approach?
Well, just after the debriefing, the review meetings, we just get back to work. And we maintain just an attitude of, first of all, gratitude, but also just have tremendous humility and know that we have to start over essentially and get ready for the next opponent. And that's just kind of how we have to do it, and just be true to our identity and what we want to continue to be about from a growth standpoint.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
You're welcome.
Hey, Eric, when you guys have a game like you did yesterday, outside the result, I don't want to say like a favorite moment, but are there like moments or splash plays that kind of stand out to you the most of like, oh, this is really showcased our defense's identity or something like that? Like, what will you most remember from it?
Well, obviously, scoring on defense is something that you'd like to be in a position to do. You have to get your hands on the ball. You have to be in the right place. You have to be violent at the point of attack, if it's a run play. But if you can score on defense, that's a pretty significant accomplishment. And it says a lot about just the mentality of everyone on the field. But at the end of the day, you want to win. And sometimes the way that looks is different from one week to the next. And you want to be in a position to complement the other two phases. And the guys did that.
And then looking forward to the Dolphins, they're doing some things Sean called revolutionary, but just very creative in how they're using different guys, what they're doing. What's it like for you coaching both, veteran guys who have seen a lot, but maybe haven't necessarily seen this, but then also younger guys who are still, you know, maybe just a couple years in and haven't seen this for sure?
Well, we'll draw on the experiences of the veteran players. And I know that all of the players will count on the coaching staff, you know, filtering the opponent every week and presenting, okay, who they are and how we plan to address them. So we'll count on our veteran players, their experience, and we'll also count on the younger players really being in tune and doing a lot of work on their own, in addition to the research and the study that we will do as a coaching staff.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, Eric, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. Thanks for doing this. Can you believe that Leonard Floyd was a free agent as long as he was, and how thankful are you that that's the case?
Yeah, I'm really excited that Leonard's here, and I appreciate the fact that he's here, and more than that, I appreciate the type of person that I've gotten to know. Leonard is very humble. He's a hardworking person, very extremely professional, and he is really emerged into just the environment here at the Buffalo Bills. And so I'm just excited that he's here and thankful that he's turned out to be the kind of pro that he is.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Eric. John Worrell. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Sorry about that. I guess the bad news is you're facing an opponent that just put up 70. The good news is no team's ever put up 70 in back-to-back weeks, right?
I'm not aware of that part of the history, but you know, we'll always respect the opponent, and we'll prepare ourselves. And we know that whatever happened last week, we've got to be prepared for this week, and that's our approach. And we'll be ready to go when we need to.
And I guess the safety blanket that you have with the secondary, and having Micah Tre'Davious and Jordan, and really, you know, Benford but those three guys in particular, how much of that is a safety blanket in having those guys together where you didn't have them a year ago in going into a game like this?
Well, it's you know, the way Christian is playing, obviously Jordan and Micah, you know, these are two foundational parts of our defensive system, and to have them in the secondary is it's even more of a benefit for us on defense. But you know, we'll definitely depend on that. Jordan and Micah are tremendous in communicating. They're tremendous in being able to anticipate how we need to adjust our secondary when the parts start moving pre-snap, and we're facing a team that motions a lot before the ball is snapped. So we'll depend on that level of communication, detail, and adjustments. And Christian will do a great job of seeing some of those things himself and responding to the way that Jordan and Micah kind of inform him through their communication.
And really that is it, is like to have the veteran presence, you know, and I'm including Trey White in there, to have the veteran presence, to not be, I guess, maybe not fooled, but maybe distracted by some of the pre-snap movement and all the other stuff that goes on with a team like this, to stay focused on their keys. I guess how important is that in a game like this and facing an offense like this?
It's really important, because once the ball is snapped, once the play actually starts, you know, everyone has to be in tune with what their assignment consists of, and how to execute that, where they're supposed to be, where their eyes are, and just the details of their job description as far as the call is concerned. So you have to do a great job just being extremely disciplined, not forgetting, you know, what we're trying to present, and being aware of how we need to adjust, maybe multiple times before the ball is snapped and the play is actually presented to us. So we have to be extremely disciplined, not let those things distract us, and just at the end of the day, go play ball once everything kind of declares itself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Coach. George Redd, the Challenger Community News. How you doing this afternoon, Coach Washington?
Doing great. Thank you.
Great. Leonard Floyd made a comment that I hadn't heard before in a while. He mentioned that because of the rotation, when he was on the sidelines, he noticed the guy, Andrew Wiley, who he was going up against, he started concentrating on his footwork to see what he was doing. And he made his own adjustments. And then, man, he was going around him like he was in cement after a while there. He started figuring out what he was doing. Is that something just from veterans' experience? Guys can make adjustments while they're on the sidelines, looking at their opponents because of the rotation that the Bills have?
Without question, sometimes when a player rotates out of the game, it gives him a chance to kind of collect himself and to review what his play experiences have been, and to also continue to monitor what's going on the field in real time. And, our guys are very proactive thinkers, and they are constantly reviewing what's happening. They're giving that information to each other, and they're also anticipating what we could see in terms of how the opponent is adjusting to us or the adjustments that we need to make. So, no, that's just that doesn't surprise me with Leonard, and that's something. The communication on the sideline is unreal. The kind of stuff that's being talked about and the things that we talk about in between series, and obviously we're utilizing the rotation to our benefit in that way.
Okay, last but not least, the disguising the coverage. But the Bills seem to have one of the best disguises of cover. Every team that go into opposing locker room, they always bring up, man, they're tough to read. They disguise their coverages very well. How does that come about?
Well, it's just something that we obviously we want to not give quarterbacks, offensive coordinators, play callers, or even the offense in general information. We want to get information, but not necessarily give it. So we want to make sure that we do a great job of maintaining a certain specific shell and just not allowing a team to identify what we're doing before the ball is snapped. And that's something that we really work on, and it's been a tremendous benefit for us.
All right, thank you, Coach, and good luck against this Miami Dolphin team. Come squish the fish this coming week. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That's all the questions for today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Recording stopped.